Bonjour, bienvenue dans notre salle de presse virtuelle et sur EBS pour notre rendez-vous de midi quotidien. Nous sommes aujourd'hui le vendredi 11 septembre. Avant de partager avec vous l'agenda de la présidente pour la semaine prochaine, j'ai une mise à jour pour aujourd'hui. La présidente a rencontré ce matin M. Manfred Weber, le président du groupe du Parti populaire européen du Parlement européen. Lundi, dans l'après-midi, la présidente participera à la vidéoconférence des dirigeants de l'UE et de la Chine avec le président Xi Jinping pour la Chine, le président du Conseil européen Charles Michel et la chancelière allemande Angela Merkel, ainsi que, évidemment, la présidente de la Commission, comme je vous l'ai dit. Cette vidéoconférence sera suivie d'une conférence de presse conjointe des trois dirigeants européens. Mardi, Mme von der Leyen présidera la réunion hebdomadaire du collège qui aura lieu dans l'après-midi, comme c'est le cas lorsque le collège se réunit à Strasbourg les semaines de plénière. Et mercredi matin, bien entendu, la présidente prononcera au Parlement européen son tout premier discours sur l'état de l'Union que vous et nous attendons évidemment impatiemment. Let me now pass the floor to Vivian for an announcement on support to Italy following the damages caused by last autumn's harsh weather conditions. Vivian.
Thank you very much, Eric. Good afternoon. The European Commission has granted today 212 million euros from the European Solidarity Fund to Italy following the extreme weather conditions that hit the country last autumn, causing landslides and floods, including the flooding in Venice. The European assistance will contribute to alleviate the extraordinary financial burden that Italy had to face to repair these severe damages. This help from the Solidarity Fund will finance retroactively the restoration of vital infrastructures, support new measures to prevent further damages, and to protect cultural heritage. This decision is part of the aid package of a total of 280 million euros addressed to Portugal, Spain, Italy, and Austria that were hit by natural disasters in 2019. It is a clear sign of EU solidarity with all our member states suffering from adverse effects of natural disasters. It also reminds us, of course, of the importance of implementing the European Green Deal and European climate action in general to prevent and manage the consequences of the side effects of climate change. Additionally, for Italy, I would like to draw your attention to another decision by the Commission today, namely to modify our operational programs in Italy worth a total of 233.6 million euros of EU cohesion policy funding, supporting now the recovery of Italy from in its response to the coronavirus pandemic. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Vivian. I will now give the floor to Johannes, who has news on research for safe and effective treatment against coronavirus.
Thank you, Eric. Indeed, the Commission will provide 4 million euros to a new research project that will work to determine if the transfusion of COVID-19 convalescent plasma can be an effective and safe treatment. The funding is part of the 1 billion euros that the Commission has pledged under Horizon 2020 for the development of vaccines, new treatments, and tests to prevent the spread of the virus. Convalescent plasma transfusion, which is basically using blood plasma from patients who have recovered from a COVID-19 infection, has been deemed as a very promising treatment in the scientific and medical world. The project called Support E will not only determine whether such a transfusion is safe and efficient, but it will also help to better understand which patients should be transfused and how, as well as how the donation should be tested and selected to guarantee the best treatment outcome. We have more information in the Daily News.
Merci beaucoup, Johannes. Et pour terminer, j'appelle Balázs qui a une annonce à vous faire concernant les ponts aériens humanitaires financés par l'Union européenne. Balázs.
Effectivement, bonjour. Donc, dans le cadre de la réponse mondiale de l'Union européenne au coronavirus, nos opérations de pont aérien humanitaire continuent. Donc, cette fois-ci, je peux vous annoncer 3 vols à destination de Lima au Pérou. Ces vols livrent cette semaine plus de 4 tonnes de matériel essentiel aux organisations humanitaires qui sont actives dans le pays. En même temps, l'Union européenne a également annoncé 30,5 millions d'euros d'aide humanitaire pour soutenir les plus vulnérables en Amérique latine et dans les Caraïbes en 2020. Sur le financement annoncé aujourd'hui, 15,5 millions d'euros sont destinés à la préparation des communautés vulnérables dans la région aux catastrophes. Et l'objectif est aussi d'assurer que ces communautés soient prêtes à faire face aux multiples dangers naturels qui frappent la région. Les 15 millions d'euros restants continueront de soutenir des projets humanitaires en Amérique centrale, du Sud et dans les Caraïbes. Donc, je peux vous également annoncer qu'un 3e vol de pont aérien humanitaire organisé par l'Union européenne partira à destination de Beyrouth demain, avec à son bord Janez Lenarčič, donc le commissaire européen pour la gestion de crise.
Merci Balázs. Ceci conclut nos annonces pour aujourd'hui. Nous pouvons passer à vos questions. Et je vois que Sándor a levé la main. Sándor.
Hello. One question on Hungary. The media authorities decided not to prolong the frequency license of the opposition radio Klub Radio in Hungarian. I would like to know if the Commission would like to comment on this case. And another question, Klub Radio was part of the complaint in the competition case regarding the monopoly of the Hungarian media market. Are there any steps forward in this competition case? Thank you.
Christian, on the first question.
Yes, thank you for the question. As you know, we can in general not comment on individual cases. We are aware of the reports, of course, but what I would like to mention and what I would like to remind is that under European rules, under the Audiovisual Media Services Directive, there are legal safeguards in place for media pluralism, and namely under the revision of this directive, the independence of media regulators is further strengthened. On a more general note, I think I've said it already a couple of days ago here in the press room. Let me remind you also that our position on media freedom in Hungary is very clear. The Commission has raised concerns on several occasions and in different fora. The situation has also been analyzed in several reports by international organizations of journalists and media, and not least in the latest Media Pluralism Monitor. On the competition case, it would be for my colleague Ariana.
Thank you, indeed. Ariana.
Thank you, Eric, and thank you, Christian. So indeed, we have already had the occasion to talk about these complaints back in July. The Commission currently has one pending state complaint dating from 2016, which relates to the public service broadcasting in Hungary. Since the receipt of the complaint in 2016, the Commission has been in continuous contact with the Hungarian authorities on the state allegations made in the complaint. These contacts are ongoing, and the Commission cannot prejudge at this stage their outcome. The timing of the assessment of complaints in general depends on various elements, including, for example, the complexity of the case, the completeness of the information submitted by the complainants to the Commission, the length and the timing of the submissions by all actors involved. In 2019, furthermore, the Commission has received a second state complaint relating to alleged state support to government-friendly media. Just as a note, let me remind you also that state aid to public broadcasters is assessed under the Commission's broadcasting communication, which, for example, seeks to ensure that the public broadcasters are not overcompensated and gives guidance also on the definition of the public service remit, while leaving a very broad discretion to member states. Finally, I have to say as well that at the same time, media freedom and pluralism raise many important issues that go well beyond the remit of EU state aid control.
Thank you, Ariana. I would like to know whether there are other questions related to this subject of Club Radio. From you, please only keep your hand raised if that is the case. Catherine, I see you have a question on this matter.
I'm sorry, but Christian says that there are safeguards in place. Well, those safeguards don't appear to be working. So if those safeguards are completely ineffective, do they not need to be changed? And for Ariana, you say you got the complaint in 2016. It's a complex case, it's taking you a long time. But this radio station is about to lose its license in the meantime. So are you able to introduce an interim measure to stop this? Well, there's still some free media in Hungary.
Thank you, Catherine, for your questions. I would just like to note, please, that we provide you with the information at the best that is at our disposal. I think we have to make sure that we keep the debates at the level of factual information and that we keep our emotions, if I can say, out of this, even though, of course, these are very, very sensitive issues and we all understand the situation. But now I pass the floor back to Ariana on the content.
I'm afraid, Catherine, that I won't be able to add much to what I said. It's a complaint that we are looking into. It's an ongoing assessment, and therefore, as I just said, I cannot really prejudge the outcome of this assessment. Of course, we are aware of the situation, of the allegations made by the complainants, and we are looking into it. If there will be some novelties, I will get back to you, of course.
Thank you. Christian, is there anything that you can add on Catherine's first question?
Hi, Catherine. Well, what I can maybe add is that these strengthened safeguards in the revised AVMSD will have to be transposed by member states actually September this year, so now. And of course, the Commission will as always, follow this very closely and make sure that legislation is correctly in place. But as I said, I cannot go further on commenting on an individual case because, as you know, in the national context, the individual cases have to be dealt with by the regulators. But of course, we are keeping a close eye on the implementation of relevant EU rules.
Thank you. I believe Catherine has a follow-up. Catherine, you have the floor.
Yeah. Eric, in the case of Poland and the judiciary interim measures, there was a judgment made as a whole to hold the situation, so to prevent the removal of judges, the removal of the rule of law, of the end of the to help protect an independent judiciary in Poland. Why this is a similar situation. Once this radio loses its license, it's too late. So is there a possibility of an interim measure being taken?
Thank you. Christian.
Catherine, I would not go into any speculation there. I also don't think that two issues are completely comparable. But on the Polish case, we are now in the process of analyzing the reply by the latest reply by the Polish side to review the next steps. And as I said, on this case, this is now this is something that, in the context of implementation, of course, we are looking at very closely. But on the individual case, for now, I would not be able to go further or speculate on any steps.
Thank you, Christian. Do we have other questions on this specific issue? Lily, your hand is raised. Is it on this? Lily, you have the floor.
Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Great, thank you. I understand Christian's point on the Commission not being able to comment on this specific case. But if memory serves, the issue of the independence of the Media Council in Hungary was first brought up in late 2010, early 2011 by then President Barroso and Vice President Cruz. And yet it seems like we're having a bit of a similar conversation a decade later. So I was wondering if Vice President Jourova or President von der Leyen have contacted the Hungarian government to discuss the issue of media freedom. Thank you.
Christian.
I am at the moment not aware of any very contexts relating to this. Of course, we are in regular contacts with our counterparts in the member states, and also particularly Vice President Jourova has made her position clear many times, also in the parliament debate on media freedom in Hungary in May, for when the latest contact with the authorities happened on media freedom issues. I would have to check.
Thank you. Are there other questions on this specific issue? Elisa, your hand is raised.
Hello. No, it's on enlargement.
Yeah, well.
So I have to wait.
Yes,
yeah.
please. Thank you. Please only keep your hand raised if you are asking a question on the issue at hand to help us manage this efficiently for your benefit. Zoltan, you have your hand raised, so I suppose it is on this. Zoltan, you have the floor.
Sorry, thank you, Eric.
Yes.
It is related to Hungary and to Christian as well, because the question is about the letter which was sent by two commissioners last week to Hungary. My question is whether the Commission has received the Hungarian response, and if Christian can give us, I know it is too early maybe to assess, but you can maybe give us a kind of taste what is in the letter, how the Hungarian government has replied to the Commission's concerns. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the question, Zoltan. Yes, I can confirm that we have received a reply by the Hungarian government yesterday evening, which our experts are now analyzing. So we are looking into this now. So as you were thinking already yourself, I'm not in a position now to go into any more details. I can only remind that, of course, our response will depend on this analysis, and of course there are clear rules in place on free movement in the European Union, which every member state needs to respect.
Thank you. Krzysztof, your hand is raised. Is it on this issue?
No, sorry, it's not on this issue.
Okay. Are there other, so thanks on raise your hand, thank you. Are there other questions on this issue? I do not see any, so indeed we can go to you, Krzysztof, go ahead.
Thank you very much. The question is on the environmental matters and Vistula split digging. Yesterday, it seems that yesterday Commissioner Sienkiewicz met with Polish MEPs, and one of the Polish MEPs informed that the Commission said that next month he will present a proposal to the College of Commissioners to refer the case to the Court of Justice. I was wondering whether you could confirm that, and if no, would you be able to update us where we are now in that case? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Christophe. This is a question for Vivian.
Thanks a lot for that question. Indeed, to be very clear, we are in a situation where we have launched an infringement procedure against Poland over a breach of EU legislation on the environmental impact assessment of certain public and private projects. This is not to be confused with the Vistula Spit case, where our discussions with the Polish authorities are still ongoing. So we have the ongoing discussions on the Vistula Spit with the Polish authorities, but we have an ongoing infringement procedure when it comes to the environmental impact assessments. This ongoing infringement procedure does not concern specifically the Vistula project at stake, but of course, once we take this through, and if the Commission is successful in its pursuit regarding this procedure, then that would mean opening up for justice, opening up the access to justice for environmental NGOs in Poland. This is the core of our infringement procedure that we've launched. But this all is without prejudice to the possibility of opening a dedicated infringement procedure for the Vistula project for breach of nature directives, should the ongoing case not lead to results. So we are in a position where we have a dialogue with the Polish authorities ongoing. We have an ongoing infringement case on a more broader issue, and we are looking into what to do next. And this depends very much on the way those two parallel tracks that we have now in place are going. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Vivian, are there other questions on this issue for Vivian? Follow-up, Christophe.
Yes, just to clarify, because NGOs has asked the Commission to intervene in that case to stop Poland from working on site. But if I understand correctly, the works are ongoing. Do you have any position on that? Thank you.
Thank you very much for this clarification. Indeed, we are in discussions with the Polish authorities. We are aware of the different positions taken by the NGOs and as well as by the civil society in this case. So we're aware of that. We're discussing the situation with the Polish authorities.
Thank you. Do we have other questions on environmental related issues for Vivian while she is on the podium? I do not see any, so thank you very much. I now pass the floor to James. James, you have the floor.
Hello, good morning, Eric. I have a question about trade. The British government has announced it signed its first trade deal after Brexit with Japan. In their release, they claim they have negotiated superior tariff access for Stilton cheese and more generous quotas for malt. So I wondered if the European Commission had anything to say to Europe's blue cheese producers or the mighty Dutch malt industry to explain why it wasn't able to negotiate similar terms in its talks with Japan.
James, I do not believe that we have the exact terms of the agreement signed between the UK and Japan. In any case, it would not be for us to comment on this. As you know, we have an agreement, a free trade agreement with Japan, which is not only signed, but which is already provisionally applicable and which is therefore already providing benefits to European exporters to Japan. And for the rest, we have no comment to make on an agreement signed by the United Kingdom with Japan. Any other questions on this issue? Raf, I see that you have your hand raised. Is it on this?
It's on the related issue of Brexit. Is this a good time to come into this?
I did not see any other hand raised on this particular issue of the FTA, so we can move on to the related issue. Yes.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to come back to the Commission statement of yesterday, where you said there would be action in case by the end of the month the UK hasn't withdrawn these parts of this bill. I just wondered, what does it imply? Does it only refer to the legal action that which is within the withdrawal agreement, or do you also consider certain things to be done about the trade relations negotiations? Thank you.
Thank you for the question, Raf. On this, we have set a deadline for the UK, and therefore, as I said yesterday already, we are going to take this step by step. We are going to wait for the reaction of the United Kingdom by that deadline, and we will consider next steps once we have reached that particular bridge. And in the meantime, we will make no further comment than what we have put in yesterday's statement. Any other questions related to Brexit? I do not see any, so we can move to other issues. And I know that Mose has been asking for the floor for some time. Mose, you have the floor.
Yes, thank you very much, Eric. Maybe this is a question for Christian, because he dealt with that earlier this week. And it's about, the Commission's proposal on travel restrictions, or coordination rather, of travel restrictions imposed by member states and their response to the coronavirus. There was a proposal last week, I think, and if not wrong, I mean, it's still dealt in the Council, and there obviously will be a General Affairs Council meeting on the 22nd of this month, but it says it will be a kind of exchange of views, so I'm not sure if we're taking a decision. And that doesn't seem very timely to me, especially when the commissioners in charge at the press conference last week, let's say, insisted that the Commission acted very timely during the whole crisis to coordinate such responses. So I wonder if your Commission knows, let's say, what issues in its proposal might have caused, let's say, difference of opinion among the member states or delaying, let's say, an adoption of just a recommendation. It's not a matter of legislative proposal. Thank you.
Thank you, Mose. Christian will provide the elements that he has. Let me just point out that we are responsible for the timeliness of our action, and indeed, as we have said, we believe, and we are in fact certain that we have acted in a very timely fashion. Of course, the discussions and the timeliness of the discussions in the Council is a completely different matter, which is not in our hands. But Christian, on the substance.
Yes, indeed. Look, what I can still add is that there were already first discussions of the Commission with member states, namely in the Council's Integrated Political Crisis Response group, the IPCR. So there the Commission presented its proposal to the member states, and member states generally welcomed the proposal, and there was agreement on the need for information to be provided to the public and on information exchange between member states before a decision is published by a member state. So there is a first positive response by member states. More discussions have been happening also on the level of ambassadors. But of course, as Eric already rightly said, the timing, the agenda setting is of course a matter in the Council is of course a matter for the Council and for the Presidency, with whom we work closely on this. And we have come forward on our side very swiftly with this proposal, and we hope that it will also be taken forward swiftly and adopted in the coming weeks.
Thank you, Christian. Are there other issues on the subject of travel restrictions? I see that Athanasios has his hand raised, so if it is on this, Athanasios, you have the floor.
It is on travel, but not restrictions per se, but it's on travel, it's on vouchers.
Hold on, we will come back to you because I have a whole list of people who've been asking the floor indeed for quite some time. So I see no other questions on this issue. So let me move to Anna van Densky, who had been asking for the floor for quite some time as well. Anna, you have the floor. Ah, yes, you're right. Okay, we'll come back to you. Anna.
Bonjour tout le monde. Moi, j'ai la question concernant la situation au Mali. Donc, c'est la question pour Nabila. Je peux continuer?
Si je t'ai passé la parole, Anna, c'est que tu peux effectivement poser la question.
Voilà. Moi, j'ai la question qui est la position de l'Union européenne concernant l'ultimatum des CEDEAO maintenant, parce que ils ont demandé, exigé la présidence civile à partir du 15 septembre. Et moi, je pose la question, est-ce que vous partagez cette position, soit la position de la Commission diffère? Ici, elle diffère. Comment vous voyez-vous l'avenir de cette situation de la crise?
Merci. Nabila.
Bonjour Anna et merci pour ta question. L'Union européenne suit de près les consultations nationales engagées par la junte à Bamako et dans les régions. Ces consultations, qui doivent être inclusives afin de refléter les aspirations du peuple malien, devraient conduire dans les plus brefs délais à une transition rapide conduite par les civils. L'Union européenne accorde un plein soutien à la CEDEAO, dont les chefs d'État demandent un transfert du pouvoir à une transition menée par un président et un Premier ministre civil qui pourront assurer la transition vers un retour à l'ordre constitutionnel d'ici un an.
Merci. Y a-t-il d'autres questions pour Nabila sur ce sujet ou sur un autre sujet? Je vois une question de Nicolas, effectivement, mais qui porte visiblement plutôt sur la Libye. Donc on continue sur les affaires étrangères. Nicolas, tu as la parole. Si tu arrives à appuyer sur le bouton Speak. Oui, ça avait l'air d'être bon. Ça ne semble pas fonctionner. Oui, maintenant ça marche.
Ça marche. Vous m'entendez là?
Vas-y, Nicolas.
Oui, c'était concernant la Libye, sur l'opération d'interception d'un navire par les forces européennes au large de la Libye, un navire qui se dirigeait vers Benghazi, donc en violation de l'embargo. Je voulais savoir si vous aviez plus d'informations sur la suite à donner à cette interception, parce que le navire a été détourné vers un port européen. Est-ce que vous pouvez me confirmer que c'est un port italien ou que c'est Marseille la destination de ce navire? Et ensuite, est-ce qu'une enquête sera ouverte par un procureur national et des poursuites engagées au besoin contre l'opérateur, parce que c'était apparemment les Émirats arabes unis qui étaient le fournisseur du carburant incriminé, ou le propriétaire du navire, qui est norvégien, si j'ai bien compris.
Merci Nicolas. Peter, you have the floor.
Bonjour et merci pour la question, Nicolas. Je ne sais pas si vous avez fait référence à l'incident que l'opération Irini a annoncé hier, qu'on a conduit une intervention, mais je peux confirmer qu'il y avait la première inspection sur le navire qui en provenance des Émirats arabes unifiés à Benghazi. C'était la violation de l'embargo des Nations Unies. Donc, on a rapporté cet incident à les Nations Unies, à le panel des experts, pour le follow-up approprié. Et je voudrais aussi ajouter que c'est un autre exemple de l'efficacité des contributions de l'opération Irini pour l'enforcement de l'embargo des Nations Unies, de l'embargo des armes, mais aussi l'importation et exportation illégale de carburant, parce qu'on a démontré la capacité de l'opération, de cette opération pour collecter l'information qui est importante pour prévenir les violations des embargos et aussi faire l'action nécessaire très vite et très efficace. Donc maintenant, ce sera pour le panel des experts pour assurer le follow-up approprié et nous allons continuer dans ce domaine d'enforcer et faire le monitoring de respect des embargos des Nations Unies. Je peux seulement ajouter que jusqu'à aujourd'hui, l'opération a intervenu dans plus que 50 cas de situations quand on a suspecté une violation de l'embargo des Nations Unies. Et sur les autres questions, je ne peux pas conformer la porte que vous avez mentionnée, et aussi sur l'enquête nationale, vous devez s'adresser à l'autorité nationale.
Merci. Peter, y a-t-il d'autres questions affaires étrangères pour Peter ou Nabila aujourd'hui? Je n'en vois pas. So Athanasios, we come back to you with your question on vouchers. And apologies, we should have actually stayed with you since it was a question probably for Christian. My apologies. Go ahead.
All right, no problem. It's okay. On the 2nd of June, the European Commission has issued a letter of formal warning against Greece for the case of vouchers. The 2 months period has passed, but we didn't have any follow-up on these. So did they answer to the letter? How did they answer to the letter? And what's going to happen next? Is the consumer in Greece able to retrieve his money he has spent on for air travel in the period of the first lockdown? Thanks.
Yes. Hi, Athanasios. 3 times the charm. But I hope after that we're done. So what I can say on the infringements, you will remember that we had 10 infringement letters on the package travel directive and 2 on air passenger rights. And I can confirm that we have received replies from all member states, so including Greece, on the infringement cases opened on the 2nd of July. The Commission will not comment nor disclose the details of the replies provided by member states. As you know, we're never doing this on ongoing infringements. We are now analyzing the replies and looking into the appropriate follow-up.
Okay, thank you very much. Are there other questions for us today? Yes. Athanasios, you have a follow-up.
Yes, that's right. So without getting into the details of the letters, is it possible right now for the customer in Greece who spent his money for air travel in the period of the first lockdown to retrieve his money? Yes or not? Factually, I mean, from what you know.
Look, I mean, the European rules are crystal clear. That's why we have launched these infringement proceedings. As for which individual member states have aligned their legislation and policy now with the rules, I'm not in a position to say that at this stage. As I said, we're looking into the replies to analyze them.
Thank you. Are there other questions on this issue for Christian? I do not see any, so let me come back to Erisa, indeed, who had another question. Thank you. Elisa, vas-y.
Merci Eric. Et finalement, tu prononces bien mon prénom parce que je sais qu'en tant que français, tu as la tendance de prononcer le Z. Donc, on sait très bien le Z. En fait, le S entre deux voyelles, ça siffle comme un Z, mais c'est Erisa. Voilà. My question is for Anna.
Yes, please tell me what your question is, and then we'll see who takes it.
Okay. So, Anna, I would like to ask you whether the Commissioner Varhey shares the concern, the US concern regarding the fact that the Constitutional Court in Albania is not established for more than 2 years. So we have heard the American ambassador in Albania yesterday saying that is it unacceptable for a country which is member of NATO and aspiring for EU membership not to have a constitutional court for such a long time? Thank you.
Thank you. Anna, you have the floor.
Do you hear me?
We do indeed.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you. I'm not sure you can hear us.
Yeah? Okay. Thank you so much.
Erisa, I think that we will have to come back to you bilaterally on this. We seem to be experiencing a quite exceptional connection issue with Anna, so she will come back to you bilaterally on the question. No. We will stop it here and come back to you bilaterally. And thank you for the comment on the pronunciation. It's one of the joys of this job, and the longer that I stay, the better I'm sure I will be able to pronounce the names from so many different cultures. It's quite a challenge, it has to be said. Are there other questions for us today? I do not see any, so thank you very much. Have a nice weekend, and see you on Monday.